This is Blocks to Flow, the space where learning, living, and leading return to alignment. Hosted by Kohila Sivas. Together we reconnect, restore, and rewire the missing link. Unlearn survival, relearn rhythm.
Hello, Coach Maria. Welcome. How are you today?
I'm great. How are you?
Very, very good. So I always like to start our podcast, our chat here with a breathing exercise. What's your favorite breathing exercise?
Oh, I have a few of them. The one that I shared actually in the summit was the one with the flower, only because I know that's different, only because I can envision the smell and I love it. So it's just basically breathing in, you make believe or imagine holding that flower and just breathing in that scent for maybe 5 seconds and then hold it for a couple and release it.
Okay.
So,
and how many times do you do that?
Maybe 3 times, probably no more than 3 times.
Okay. So you hold a flower like this?
Yeah, so you don't have to really do it, but it's just you're like closing your eyes and you're breathing that scent in. So
yeah, let's do it. Let's do it. Our viewers can also join us. Yes, let's do it. Or
all right, so we breathe in for, I would say 4. Hold it for 2. And out for 4. Breathe in for 4. Hold for 2. And then out for 4. In for 2. In for 4.
mm-hmm.
Hold for 2. And out for 4.
That's awesome. I like it. I like holding something. So tell me, why did the flower come into picture? Like, is that something you smelled it once and you're like, oh, that feels, you anchored?
Yeah. It's an anchor in my mind. So my mom is going blind, and when we sent her flowers, we focused on scent. And there are certain flowers that she likes. And when my son got engaged, she sent this huge bouquet up. And all I smelled was the scent of those flowers. And it was that was like a nice calming anchor that I had. And then I stumbled upon this breathing, doing it with a student because she loves that kind of stuff. And that became our favorite.
I love the anchoring. It's nice. It's very beautiful. And also, if you could just even smell it, right? Because I'm sure you're actually feeling it, right?
I feel it. Yep. I can actually feel as if I'm smelling the scent.
Yeah. So if you're watching, next time you go to a store, just pick up a flower that you smell, and then you can just anchor that. And then next time you have it, and it just takes a deeper breath when we're trying to smell, right? Something that 4 breaths said, it becomes a very deeper breath when I think of I'm smelling a flower. So I'm just taking a 4 count breath, right? So it's beautiful. Cute.
And that is a big part of it too, because you do intentionally take that deeper breath because you need to smell it.
Yes. Thank you for sharing. That's awesome. So I want to ask you, what do you think about the phrase blocks to flow? What does it mean to you, and what comes to your mind when I say blocks to flow?
Blocks to flow is I think something that many people don't even realize they have in their lives. And it's when you are not doing something or unable to do something. Sometimes you have no idea why. And it's going from that moment in your life to actually be able to do whatever it is that we're having difficulty doing, and flowing and feeling comfortable with it and able to do whatever it is that you were having difficulty with. Yeah. I have learned that a lot of people don't even know that they have it.
It's sort of a silent hostage. So blocks. It's there, but we're not aware of it. So before you became who you are today, what was like life on the other side? Were there some blocks that you were dealing with?
Yes, and that's part of what I'm saying also about not even knowing it. So probably when I was in my 30s, it's when it started. I would be doing something overwhelmed, had too much on my plate, and my back started going in. And I went to many, many doctors because I would end up bedridden, debilitated for like a month straight in bed, not being able to move. I saw many doctors, and one of them said to me that I had, when I was only in my 30s, degenerative disc disease. I had herniated discs, and he said, within 10 years, you're going to need surgery. and he started to just prescribe drugs. So he gave me 3 or 4 different kinds of drugs. I was pretty much, like I said, bedridden. My life was horrible at that moment. And I would notice I'd get back on my feet, but then within a few weeks I'd be down again. Something would happen then. And this went on for years. And I felt like this is me. This is just my life. So I stopped participating in things. I stopped doing things because I was afraid it would trigger this back issue. And at that time, I didn't realize it, but it was actually a block. And I didn't realize it until my father got very sick. And when he got very sick, then it went crazy, it went haywire. So I couldn't focus. It wasn't just that my back was going out. My thoughts were all over the place. I was very responsible. I had a lot of things I was in charge of that I needed to stay and think. And I knew right away that that was anxiety. And it was when I started working on the anxiety that I noticed some of the other things started. And it wasn't honestly until now that we started working on the blocks to flow that I know how to deal with it, how to get past it. I never really learned how to get past it. I just thought that was me. You know, if I have this issue, and so this is just what's going to happen.
So when do you think the anxiety part came into your life? Just then, or was it before as well?
No, it was definitely before. So it was probably in my 30s. That's about when I had my child, my son. I was working. I was trying to maintain my full-time job. I had a night job. I was taking care of my son. So when everything was just becoming too much to handle, that's when the back started going out. And at the time, it was, I thought it was all physical, just to have a physical issue. And that actually turned into not just my back, but my jaw. My jaw went out of alignment. And again, I thought, why are these things happening to me? And then somebody said to me, well, you might be clenching at night. You might not realize it, but you're biting down and you're clenching at night. And I thought, so that's anxiety too, isn't it? So that's when I started connecting the dots. And I realized these physical things were being triggered by the mental things that were going on in my life. And it's all like for everything we've done, that's what happens with the cortisol going to your prefrontal cortex and then pretty much paralyzing, stopping you from being able to do whatever.
Yeah, the grinding of your mouth, the teeth is pretty normal for a lot of people under stress when you have new responsibility coming on. I used to even have dreams when I was going through my divorce and all of that life changes. I used to have it when I would wake up in the morning in a very, very alerted state, like feeling like I had all of my teeth fall out and I had them in my head. That was my dream. It was repeated. Like it would come many times in every other week. I would get this. And I'm like, what is this? I really felt like it was happening in the dream, and then I would get up and I'm like, oh, okay, that's a dream. And it would repeat. Then I had to look it up. What does it really mean? It was stress. It was anxiety that things you had is not longer there. So like the losing of it, right? Yeah. Our body does so many things that we have to pay attention, right? When we're going through stuff. But unfortunately, we kind of say it as, you took it as, oh, it's just my back is hurting, just my jaw's hurting. But then that was associated with anxiety. So how does anxiety play in your life? Let's go over it, because sometimes there might be a listener right now who probably don't even know they have anxiety. What does anxiety look like? Can we share that? Can you share with me?
Sometimes it's a fear of things. So I had mentioned that if I failed at something, or in my mind, if I failed, I wouldn't want to approach it again because of the way it made me feel inside. Almost like a panic state where you're embarrassed. You think you have a big feeling of dread, like, oh, how did people look at me or judge me? And then when that happens and it gets to a point where you don't know what to do with it, you stop doing it. You don't want to put yourself in that place to feel that way. It's a negative reward. It's a negative reinforcement. So you don't put yourself in that place. So anxiety to me is an uncomfortable feeling, and it could be anything. And now I know it's physical too. It's not just how I'm feeling. I'm anxious. My stomach might hurt. I might start to sweat. I might turn red. So it can come out in so many ways. Or you just may shut down and want to walk away and not be part of it. Back off. So there's so many ways it can manifest. Depends on the person.
So what do you think was your turning point from all of this? Like you saying 30 years old, was that the turning point when you realized?
No, that's when I didn't realize. Honestly, I kind of knew, at 30, like as when I started to learn more and more, oh, wait a minute, I started to connect the dots. But the problem is I knew what it was, but I didn't know what to do with it. So I can use that.
Struggling with it. You started struggling with it.
Yeah. Now it went from my back is out, so I have anxiety. And I looked into, maybe talking to some people that really didn't help me. Like I wasn't getting what I needed because I felt like I was just telling them my life story, which is something that didn't help me. So I needed to walk away. And my big thing as a child and an adult was I want to understand it. I want to know why. And it wasn't until I started to learn techniques, strategies, and the why, which is huge, that I started to get relief. And I'm going to knock on wood here, but I haven't had my back go out in quite a while, a few years. So, and jaw's fine. And I know sometimes if I feel other new things, I'm like, what could be triggering that? Whatever's going on. I know I have anxiety, even traveling, which is something that I'm putting myself out there to do. But now I know I have to get myself through it, and I have some strategies.
Yeah, beautiful. And when you said that, at the 30 years old, do you know how you have discovered, okay, what is this? And you connected all the dots. I really immediately felt like, parents and others who get the diagnosis, like the labels or the diagnosis, right? We go and figure out you have ADHD or you have autism or you have this or that. But then like really at that point, nobody really helps us to figure out what's going to work for me. That now what question, right? Now, like you understood you had anxiety, but now what? You still had to figure out what's going to work for you. So that's the, when I talk about labels and stuff, I don't mind getting labels because we do need to understand what's going on. Labels gives us that, but still at the end of the day, you still had to customize it to how do I deal with it? Like Maria, how Maria's going to deal with it, right? Or versus Kohila, how would she deal with it? So you said you found strategies, you found techniques that works for you, because you couldn't just take somebody else's, what's working for someone else. You had to figure out what's going to work.
And that, that's funny that you said that, because people would tell me, for instance, and this was something I learned in school before we did even any of this, we were talking about mindset and mindfulness and all that kind of stuff. And I took a workshop with a group, and they were teaching us how to be mindful in the classroom. And I had to laugh because it wasn't working. I was sitting there and they're telling us to focus on whatever we have to focus, but all those thoughts just kept coming in my mind. And I'm thinking to myself, I can't stop thinking that. That was still, again, only the beginning. It wasn't until I really started studying it deeply. And part of it was through my first certification with the Wholistic Neurogrowth Learning Coach program. It wasn't until then that I realized this has to be learned. It doesn't happen naturally. You have to practice. And that's what I started to do. So I started to practice it. And I came up with my own little strategies. Like when those thoughts come in, I picture them on a shelf and I dump the shelf. See them on the shelf, I dump it. I turn it over, I get rid of it. And then you go focus back on whatever it is that you're focusing on. So I started little strategies like that. And they do creep back in. They will creep back in until when you perfect it, that's when you get to the point where you can just you know the feeling. You know that anchor feeling, and you'll get there and you can just, but I think that's another thing. People think it's an instant fix, and it isn't. It's work.
Yeah. And that's what I always say on all of the lives I do and everything. I always say, like, people always say, this worked for me. Just try this. It'll work for you. I mean, I can try, but I don't know if it's going to work for me just because it work for you, right? Like we give these blank statements, right? We give this as it is what it's going to work for you as well. But no, I'm a different person. You're a different person. So I like that how you took it. And I like the shelf analogy. So do you leave the shelf to get full, or do you like push them off the minute something comes on the shelf?
What happens is, and it just happens to a lot of people at night when they go to sleep, that's when all those thoughts start to come up. I actually visualize this shelf, and one by one things start going bloop, 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 bloop onto that shelf. And then I say, no, this is not happening. And I just dump it off. I knock it all off. And I was teaching this to my son at one point because I mentioned the whole conversation with him. And we had a ball because he was like, Mom, everything's coming back. It's coming back. I said, dump it off. And I said that we were laughing. It was just like, knock it off the shelf. Just knock it off. But like you said, what works for me may not work for him. No. He may have to find another way to do it.
But you sharing, he would get another idea, right?
Right.
That worked for him. Okay, Mom, it worked for my mom. How can I adjust this to work for me, right? In a way. I think some people have to even burn it. Some people have to even wash it away. Like there has to be another more of a stronger anchor for some people. Yours is
Power.
Yeah, just pushing off means power to you. But for me, the pushing off will just come back. I'm that type of person. So for me, I have to do something with that information. Either I let it go in the river. Like I like letting it go in the river. A lot of things. Because they always say, right, whatever the river takes away, it carries away and, goes into the ocean. So that I really love. Or burning it is in something else, right? Like really anchoring it so that I don't think about it again. Because these things can preoccupy us, right? 24/7. Just keeps you stuck rethinking about it. I like that you said, you're now pushing yourself to do things that you would never do before. So why do you think you're trying that? Is that because where you're at your stage, or why is that?
Because I realized, and looking back, and part of it is all through the work that we've been doing, is when I was a child, I wasn't afraid to do anything. I felt like I could do anything. Nobody could tell me I couldn't do it. I could do it. If I put my mind to it, it was going to be done. But then once you get older and you're in school and then people judge and people say things right away, I noticed I started retreating because I wasn't perfect. And if I couldn't do it perfect, I wasn't doing it. I wasn't going to try it. And then I realized that over all those years, if I can just please redo all that, I could have really developed so many more things in my life than I have. But I instead backed off from them. And part of it was the anxiety and part of it was the judgment. And I realized I labeled myself in those cases because I wasn't. And now I realize I'm not letting that happen anymore. Now I know that if I put myself in a situation, I just need to get through it. And even if I get through the first 2 steps and something happens, I figure it out. I work it out. What's the worst? And if I make a fool out of myself, I laugh. Oh, well, it was a silly moment. I tried. I put myself out there, give myself credit. So I'm putting myself in that position and I'm not feeling the anxiety that it was feeling. Even doing this.
Yes.
Because I didn't like being on the spotlight.
Yeah.
So,
Where do you think that I have to be perfect if I do it came from?
well, that's all part of it too. So my mom will probably kill me if she watches this, but she really has very high expectations. And through our discussions, because we have had many, when she grew up, the same happened to her. So there's the family system. So this went down through the generations, and I realized that it wasn't her. She had to be perfect. And she would tell me stories to the point where her mom would she was beautiful, blonde, curls and everything, and she had to look perfect. She had to be clean. Everything had to be perfect. And it, I'm sure, certainly affected her. And she took some of that with her. And it felt like no matter what I would do, there would always be something that I could have done better. So I realized that. Through our discussion, we realized that. And it's something that we can move forward from.
Yeah, the perfect is a big part of everyone's problem. I think all of us have it, right? Somewhere, a little bit or less, we have it. Like it's somewhere in the corner of it, keeping us hostage. Now, this perfect is also, I think, is your parents are, first of all, if they had it, you definitely will have it because they're going to always talk to you in that way, right? Like, do this, and then you do it, and then they're like, that's not perfect. Do it again. Right? And then you get to this idea that there has to be this one product or one situation that's perfect. And I have to meet my parents' expectation, right? Because then I get to be loved. Sometimes we associate being perfect and doing what they want to be loved, right? Associate that with love. But I think more importantly, the perfect also comes from our school system where we have to get everything perfect. We're celebrated when we get perfect.
Approval. You're looking for that approval, whether it be from your parents, your teachers.
So that's a long time we are in school system where we're trying every single day to be perfect. And how many times a teacher came to you and said on your test or something, you got it wrong. Interesting. Why did you answer it like this? There's nothing like that. It's either wrong or right. But if we could analyze the thought behind them choosing that answer, that child or the person will learn way more, right? If I could ask them that one question. It's interesting you chose that. Can you explain to me? Why do you think that's the right one? So I find that a lot of the perfect comes from us being in 14 years in school system that keeps us telling us that you got to get the perfect marks. And then anybody who's getting perfect, they're the people everyone likes, right?
You'll be successful. And if you're not going to be successful.
That's right. But everyone can be successful no matter what, even if I got all of the grades. Some people, dropped out of school and they're successful. And what is, then we can go into the conversation of what is success. To whom am I successful? Because a billionaire right now would say, I'm not successful. I can look at the billionaire right now and say he's not successful because he might not have the freedoms that I have and the joy that I enjoy. You know what I mean? Like, it's whose point of view are we looking at success from? So I think the school system definitely, because we both come from the school system as teachers as well, so puts a lot of pressure on the perfect part, right? So tell me, so what was you came into our program as a holistic neurogrowth learning success coach. Now you're Blocks to Flow licensed and certified. So what is it that you love about the Blocks to Flow that you now know you can offer your clients?
I am just so excited because I feel like this was absolutely the missing link. And I'm already offering and I'm already hearing feedback. One of the things that you said, it's not just for the students, but the parents as well, is the way we speak, whether it be our students or children. And I'm working with one family and the mom said to me that I gave her scenario where if this happens, say this. Don't say it this way, say it this way. And I gave her a sheet with all different scenarios on it. And she responded back to me and she told me that, she had a little difficulty one night. And she said, I used what you gave me. And she said it was very helpful. So I'm so happy that now I can help these children that have been stuck. They haven't been able to move forward. And I can get parents on board as well. And now we're on this mission and we have all these children that will succeed that may not have been able to. So being able to offer that and in such a custom way and holistic way that we do. I think an eye-awakening thing between the holistic coaching and the Blocks to Flow was how all our systems affect us as well. Because that was a piece that we didn't quite hit the way we are with the Blocks to Flow. And you really don't realize it. One of the first things I did, because we analyzed ourselves. That was part of your program. I retired from teaching after 33 years, and I kind of just threw all the stuff that I thought was important in my back room. And I couldn't work that way. So now I started, with a few students here and there, dabbling in different things. And it was just so unorganized. So I just took a break. I stopped doing everything and I started to just set up my space. And I said, I'm only going to take out what I need and that's it. I don't need all this other stuff from my classroom. So it's not done yet because I have other things on my agenda that I'm planning on doing to make it even better. The environment, that was the system that I recognized. Again, the family, the perfectionism. Something that you said, which I think would help all children in our program, is it doesn't have to be perfect. Just be there, show up, do it. Nobody said that to me growing up. It was always, it has to be perfect. So when I heard that, it was almost like, and then I thought to myself, and why have I not done that? And then you think of all the people that are successful. They do that. They just jump in there and whatever happens, happens.
Take imperfect steps and learn from it and make it perfect. That's why I say perfect all the time. I use the word so perfect every time. If somebody says something, I'm like, perfect. Because all is perfect. Everything is perfect.
I went to Lake George over the summer and I watched a young girl. She's a very strong athlete. She's a pitcher on a college team, and through high school she was a pitcher. And she decided to try water skiing for the first time. And she's athletic. Well, the first time she got on those water ski, she landed right over. And I had a boat right next to where she was. And she's like, I'm doing it one more time, and if I can't do it, I'm not doing it. And I said, we just watched her, because I'm thinking, no, that's not what we do, because she can do it. We know she can do it. She got up on the water skis, and the next time she actually stood a little bit, and then she fell. I said, you're not giving up, are you? And she's like, no, I'm going to try again. I'm going to try it one more time. And believe it or not, by the third time, she was up and moving. Not perfect. It took everything out of her to do that, but I said, that's how learning works. You may fall on your face the first time. Second time, you make it a little bit. So I thought that was a perfect example of what we do and how we have children move forward.
Yes, absolutely. What was the hardest pattern or belief to unlearn as you were, transitioning yourself? What was the hardest part or beliefs you need to unlearn?
It was the being perfect for me, because I would not even attempt it. And what would happen is
you were paralyzed by the thought of trying something. If it's really
Just to tell you how it did affect me, and this is how now I understand, because we know physically how it affects. I was playing a game in front of 1 million people, and we had to do simple multiplication, but I was on the spot. I was against another person, and my brain just went blank, like a blank slate. I couldn't remember. And I literally just went, oh my gosh. And I see all these people looking at me, and it just went, boop, it was gone. And now I know what that was and why it was. And that again, it was probably around that 30, 40 something in my age that I was going through all that stuff. And guess what I did after that? I didn't volunteer anymore. No. Because I said, I'm not putting myself in that spot to embarrass myself. They're going to think I don't know my multiplication table.
Well, I all the time. I'm really good at math. But if somebody puts me and says, or challenge me, because my dad always challenged me to learn things, right? So I just go into that. I just get triggered. I sometimes I won't even say what's 9 times 9 is. And I'm like, what is wrong with you? Like, you do like calculus and all these hard math problems. You don't know what 9 times. It's because fear. When fear takes over, you just a blank. Everything becomes blank, and it's not. Yeah, it's not a skill. It's not your talent. It's not you're not smart. Your brain's gonna do survival mode. It's triggered. It's not going to be like, okay, let's now figure this out, right? Because it doesn't have that energy anymore. So I have that too. I cannot be quizzed or challenged or, people telling me, tell me now, tell me under this. And if someone starts pressuring me, I'm like, no, I'm not playing that game.
And I volunteered for that. But then after we started learning what we were learning, we did another thing where they had us all, again, a whole group of people in this big room on the computer. And they gave us a quiz, and it was all on technology. And I happened to be the math science technology coordinator prior to that. And I was on my computer, and I felt that anxiety. I felt it because I know how it felt. It was almost like I could feel almost shaking inside. And I blocked everybody out, and I said, I'm not in a competition. I'm going to answer the question. And I totally became mindful, and I looked at the questions. I blocked everybody out. And guess who came in first place? It was me. So my name popped up on the big screen. And I almost, if I had not known what I knew, I probably wouldn't have tried my best. I would have just panicked. I would have answered the question slowly.
And that's why even with the students we work with, if you say this is now test time or quiz time, and we hear a lot of students tell us, right? Like I knew everything, I just went blank. Like I studied everything, I didn't know anything, and on that test. I couldn't even put my pencil down to write something down on the paper. That's because they do know. Like sometimes people think, oh yeah, you didn't study, you're just making it up. But no, I did study. If I'm scared of the clock, you know how many of us are scared of the clock under pressure, right? The clock becomes like a ticking bomb. You look at that and like, oh no, it's going. So that we never practice under clock, right? Like we don't do a test or exam. That's what I do with all my students. I put the clock on. And the same student who did all the questions, the same questions I would give them, and I put the timer on, they're not able to move because their brain is like, oh, the timer's going. I have 10 more minutes. I have, 5 more minutes. They're reading the clock. They're not focused on the work at all. So that pressure does wipe everything off. And that's a real problem. And our education system doesn't help us go through those stages, right? Like that's the real part of learning is how do we manage our brain while when we're put under stress of time, stress of tests, of knowing the material, we don't help our students, and that should be part of education, So we can all practice because practice is what makes perfect, right?
And having the student feel safe to practice is huge. So when they are in that environment, they know what to do. And that's like I mentioned earlier. You don't just tell somebody to do something and they just do it. It has to be practiced.
Yes, and that's our method is with the blocks to flow, we don't even touch the content because there's so many systems that are blocked in this way. There's no point in practicing times table when I know you're constantly fighting your own system, right? That's blocking you. There's no point. Yes, amazing. Thank you for sharing that. Lots of conversations about education today because we both love talking about that, right? So, where did you feel it in your body as you were like unblocking? I know you shared about your back, your jaw. Like, how are they now? Like now that you have
so much better. It's starting to become more automatic where I say to myself, oh, I should be feeling nervous or stressed right now, but I'm not. Like it's almost like a very light feeling. It's like that sail is finally catching the wind, and I'm able to pull through. But I'm not feeling that tightness that I was feeling. And that's what I was doing. I was tightening everything. And that's what was causing some of the back, the jaw, all that.
What do you do daily so that you stay in flow?
I try to exercise, so that's very important. I do practice the breathing, and anytime I feel stressed about anything, it may not be holding the flower, it's just making sure that I'm getting my breath. I do that. Again, like I said, exercise is very important because I noticed if I don't do that, I do feel differently. I'm also trying to really balance my life, so it's not just all work or all play. I try to fit every little bit of everything in, and I think that has also helped that.
So you're mindful of designing your days now. Yeah. Beautiful, beautiful. If your younger self could witness you now, what do you think they will notice first?
How brave I am.
Nice. You're not looking for that perfect of anything, right?
I'm taking risks. Yeah, at least what I think is a risk.
Is it a risk or you're living your life?
Both. Yeah, and that little girl that could do anything is saying to me, "You're finally back. What took you so long?"
Nice. Yeah, because you were that person, and then you went into keeping yourself paralyzed by this notion, I have to be perfect.
And I don't want other people to do that. I want them to know that they can do it. And you could be so much.
About that. Why did you say I don't want other people to do it? Because
Well, I feel like I wasted so much time, and I could have moved so much further in my life had I just let myself be free and feel free enough to and safe enough to try things. And it's not always easy because you have other people judge you that don't understand. But you have to get past that. You have to get through that. And that's all part of what I hope to do for other people.
But I think when we're perfect, I realized this about judgment. I think I shared with you earlier, but let's share it with the listeners. That judgment is something that we think other people are doing. But most of the time, if you are a judger, if you judge, you think other people are judging. And I had to realize that it was me that needs to let this go. I was doing it way more than I think anyone else did it. And then I would project my idea of that onto another person. They must be thinking this too. I have no idea they're thinking or not. But my brain says they must be thinking. That's what. And then I had to tell myself, you're not that special for everyone you think is thinking about you. They're not thinking about you because they have better things to think about. We always make these stories as we are the center of the other person's, life, but they have their own thing going. They're not going to, be thinking about us. So the judgment is still actually, when I realized it stems from me, it gave me power back to stop it. First of all, let it go. I did a ceremony to let go. And then right after that, I was really fine with being who I am. And I don't even care what other people think anymore because it's none of my business. And if they're thinking, that's good for them. Keep thinking. I just need to do what's right. If you're doing what's right, you don't really need to feel what other people are thinking. People are going to think whatever. So yeah, judgment's a big one. So your younger self will see you brave, doing things, living your life, those steps. So if our listeners who are listening today could take one simple action to alignment and flow, what would it be? What action can they take?
I think the first thing you should do is start to be aware. Be aware of when you're not in flow. And when you're not in flow, start to be aware of what's happening when you're not in flow. Because that's the first step to moving forward, is being aware. When you get that feeling, when you stop doing something, when you feel overwhelmed, the awareness is the first step that I think they should practice identifying. Because once you achieve that, then you can begin with alignment.
But let's help them. What does awareness mean? What am I supposed to be aware? Sometimes we use words. Other people who are not been there will be like, okay, what am I supposed to be aware? Like, I'm aware that I'm in a room right now, but what does awareness look like?
So it would be those uncomfortable feelings, whether it's tightness, whether it's you feel like fleeing, you feel like leaving, you don't want to be there. You start to ask yourself, why am I feeling this way? What's making me feel this? So,
and also you said earlier that shelf, right? When you sit down by yourself, or when you're going to bed, or you're lying on the bed, and all these things start stacking in front of you, become aware of those. Why are they repeatedly being put on that shelf? Where is that stemming from? Why is it coming back? It's sudden something is coming back for you. Probably at that time was this perfectionism was coming up so much for you, right? And everything you touched, it has to be perfect. So that is an awareness. Oh, I do tend to be perfect with everything I need to do. Now, perfect is being impossible to achieve. So therefore, I'm not going to even try, which means that I'm not even going to do it. what I need to do. So I am keeping myself very protected over here, but I'm not trying things because I need to be perfect. So just knowing that, even if you don't do anything, now you know why you're not doing things. Through that awareness, I know I'm not doing things because I told myself I have to be perfect. Then you can then talk to yourself, do I need to be perfect? Like, whose expectation is this? Who placed this? Why am I holding myself from trying everything that's coming to me in the name of I have to be perfect? So that is like the awareness, right? What is repeatedly showing up for you? And how are you around other people? How are you in your daily life? Like, do you tell yourself I'm going to go to the gym and never go to the gym? That's an awareness, because you're setting yourself up for some success, but then you're also setting up yourself for failure. Like, I've done that many, many, many years. I would set myself to go, don't go. And then I'll have a pity party afterwards by myself that I didn't do what I did. And then now I build a habit that I can't stop going. But I needed to come to aware that I was a liar to myself about the gym. That was a lie. Didn't want to go. So there's that's the awareness, right? To those of you who are watching, when Coach Maria saying about awareness, aware of like what's happening in your life. Where are you telling yourself lies? Where are you telling yourself something and not going through with it? Because those are things that you are beating yourself up on day after day. And those are the things that she said comes on that shelf at the end of the night, So yeah, so awareness is part of our 5A system, right? In our program. So the first is awareness. Until we're aware of what we're doing, there's no change. It's not change. And I think it happened to you as well, right, Maria, at 30? That's the biggest awareness, is the one that started all of this.
And slowly the first thing I started doing is like to talk to your brain. I started saying, wait a minute, you can do this. Just do that first step. And that's how I started. But it took more than that. So, that's when you can start building on that. Once you're aware you have the problem. Because I wasn't aware. I just thought my back was just going out. And it was going out. That was a real thing.
And what was the most important thing about learning the blocks to flow method for your business? What do you feel like the most important thing that shifted for you in your business?
Well, working with students, tutoring, and doing the holistic coaching and the blocks to flow, I think it opened up a whole new door, because once you don't realize how many things can affect the learning of a child. And it's things that a lot of people, I think, dismiss. They think, that's not going to help. But when you learn about it the right way, you see that that's what's creating the whole problem to begin with. And if we set somebody up for success and we get rid of all those blocks, they can't fail. There's nowhere to go but up. And I've never seen it approached this way.
Yeah, remove the block and then learn whatever you want to learn, right? It's beautiful. It sounds like it's the order of operations, like it's the way to do it. But then why did that make sense? And it's been done the wrong way. That's why we all end up, personally developing ourselves in the age of 30s and 20s, and in the late into our 60s, we're still learning how to live with ourselves, because we don't learn what the order of operations of life is. There's an order here and we go against it. So I know you offer coaching. So if you want to get in contact with Coach Maria, she offers coaching in the blocks to flow. So you can contact her with all the information that I'm going to put in the show notes. You're going to have all her links. You can directly connect with her. That's how you can get connected with Coach Maria. So Maria, at the end, we always do this. So finish this sentence for me. Flow is?
Being able to do anything you put your mind to.
Yes, do it. One word that describes you when you're in flow.
Peace.
Peace. One practice that instantly helps you return to flow and alignment.
Breathing.
Yeah, a lot of our coaches say breathing on our show, because I cannot tell you, because we do it so all the time. We forget that we have it available to us. But then the way that we slow it down, we start counting, we start smelling the flower like you taught us today. All of that makes you grounded, sets you back. It's like a reset. And I have a natural reset available to me anytime, and we don't use it. So thank you. Yeah.
I notice too, when I get nervous, I speak very fast, which means I'm really not taking in that oxygen. So that's part of why the breathing's important to me, is to slow myself down and get those breaths.
Absolutely. What's one truth you wish everyone knew about learning, living, and leading in flow?
I'm going to go back to what I was saying before, and that's that you can do it. People think they can't do things, and you can. And it's something that I tell my students all the time. Don't ever think you can't do it.
Everyone's capable. There are blocks that hold us differently, hold us back differently. And we need to find out how those blocks are holding us and how extreme are they on us, right? Some people have it like it's a scale. It's like a spectrum. Some people have it very much gripped. In your case, perfectionism was gripping you here. It was choking you, right, into everything that happened to you. But then when you realized and that awareness came, everything shifted. So thank you. Thank you for being part of our mission to serve 1.5 million of humans. I've now changed it to humans before 2035. So thank you for being part of that. And if you want to reach out to Coach Maria, I'm going to leave all her information. Anything else you want to leave today, Maria, to our listeners?
Now go blank. Just be hopeful. Just be hopeful. Know you're not alone, and there is help. So don't wait.
Yes.
Look for help so that you can move forward. Don't do what I did.
Yeah. What I
Live
learned.
your life and enjoy it.
Yes. What I learned from you today, from your story, is that listen to your body. Right? You were getting a lot of these signals. Right? You listen to your body.
Absolutely.
And don't ignore it. Right? Don't ignore it. And really become aware. You said that shelf thing that you shared with us, that is the awareness. I got these things coming up, I'm going to get rid of it. Or sometimes we might have to visit those. I talk about it like doors, right? We go and visit those doors to see, why is this door keep coming back and opening and closing on me? Like, I need to finish this business here. Yeah, thank you. Thank you for sharing, and thank you for being here.
Thank you. My pleasure.
You've been listening to Blocks to Flow, where learning, living, and leading return to alignment. Keep reconnecting. Keep restoring. Keep rewiring your way back to rhythm. Discover more at holisticsuccesscodes.com and join the movement reshaping how we learn, live, and lead. Until next time, flow forward.